So I believe we should start. Robert, are you ready?
Yes, ready to go.
So as we mentioned before, we wait 5 minutes to start our today's meeting. Welcome everybody to our next workshop. Just brief presentation, and we'll pass the voice to Robert and leave the stage for him. As you probably know, together with Piotr, we are trying to organize different events in Wrocław, and during the pandemic time, we moved to the online. So if you want to be informed about different types of events, just follow us on LinkedIn. Definitely you will find their information when we are doing something that can be interesting for you. If you have some idea that, for example, you would like to share the knowledge with the people, we will help you to organize that kind of event, and also tutor you in scope of if you have like the questions, or it would be like your first time doing the presentation or a workshop. Today, our guest, Robert, he will be showing us how to implement Windows Virtual Desktop in Microsoft Azure. So I think this topic is very important, especially that right now in, I don't know if it's post-pandemic or pandemic times, where we are moving our companies and our office to virtual space. So this topic, I think, is very important and very interesting. If you want to follow us in different way, you can visit our webpage azurepoland.pl. You will have there all information about our events. As you can see, there are already 4 of them that we handled in last month. So there's a lot of happening right now. If you want to check the materials, this is also a perfect place for that. And also with Piotr, we want to help you to learn something new. So if you have some requests for a new topic, just let us know in the form, and we'll try to find interesting person who will be able to share the knowledge. And I think that's all. I managed to even talk less than 5 minutes. So let's have fun today. Robert, thank you for giving like a workshop for today. So the stage is yours. And guys, please be not shy, ask Robert questions. This is time for you and for him to acquire as much knowledge as is possible.
Exactly. Thank you, Piotr and Michael. So yeah, maybe I will start from sharing the presentation with you guys, and please confirm when you will be able to see the presentation. Can you see anything?
Yes.
Okay, yes. Great. So, topic for today is Windows Virtual Desktop, but maybe from the beginning, I will tell a little bit more about me. So, my name is Robert. I'm working at Predica Group as a security architect / cloud architect. So here are the social media informations where you can find me over the LinkedIn, Facebook, or my blog. So on a daily basis, I'm working with mostly 3 pillars, which is the on-premise environment, Active Directory, including related services, and PowerShell, of course. Then cloud, mostly Microsoft Azure Cloud with Azure AD, Cloud Adoption Framework, migrations, and Windows Virtual Desktop, infrastructure as a service, and much more other services. And of course, security, which is on top of everything. So this is like a on-premise security, like hardening, Red Forest, queuing, and etc. Azure, like the M365 implementation, and of course, compromise recovery as an additional point. If you don't know what's the compromise recovery, soon I will create a blog article about that to make sure that you will find it there. So because I'm having small problems with network today, as mostly everyone's, I will turn off my camera, but I will stay here and present everything. So let me just turn off the camera, and then we can start going with the presentation. So the plan for the presentation is that we will start from scratch, from the Windows Virtual Desktop basics, right? We will describe what are the core components and any other similar things. After that, we will talk about requirements for the deployment, right? Because like every deployment, there are some requirements that you need to fulfill. So yeah, we'll talk about that. The third point will be golden image creation, because in my opinion, having the Windows Virtual Desktop environment deployed using the standard built-in resources or images, it's not more efficient. So the best way to have customized Windows Virtual Desktop environment is to start from the golden image creation, which will be a point of our demo, and of course I will walk you through that. Then the fourth point is session host maintenance, because sometimes you could have situation where you need to check the session host if there are disconnected users or active users, or maybe to put the session host into the drain mode. So this will be about that. And the last one is the thing which, from my point of view, if you deploy anything, you need to take care also about the environment monitoring. So we'll talk about the monitoring, we'll deploy the log analytics, we'll deploy some workbook for that, especially for the Windows Virtual Desktop. So yeah, let's start our journey. We'll start with some diagrams, right? I like to show the architecture using the diagrams. So basically the Windows Virtual Desktop contains two types of components. One of them are managed by Microsoft. These are the things like web access server, gateway, broker, diagnostics, SQL, and management portal. If you have some experience with the RDS, remote desktop services implementation under the on-premise environment, you probably know some of them, like the web access, gateway, and broker. So they are managed by Microsoft, and the metadata is stored under the US country. So this is the first part of normal WVD deployment, and the second part is the customer tenant. We can call it customer tenant. These are the things which are managed by customer. So in fact, us, right? Because we are going today to deploy the WVD. So what are those things? We can deploy host pool. So basically, the thing that will gather in a group, our session host. I will talk a little bit more about those host pools. What are them? What are the types? So I will talk about it a little bit later. And of course, we need to have some kind of source for the authentication, like Azure AD or Active Directory or Azure Active Directory domain services, right? So then if we have the full environment, we already described the WVD environment, we can start thinking, okay, how the login process looks, right? So on the left side, with those green boxes, you can see that we have the users which are accessing the environment using multiple devices like Windows, Apple, or even Android devices, right? So basically, the first thing what they are going to do is to authenticate to the Microsoft, to the WVD tenant, which is managed by Microsoft. So in a simple way, this is the web portal that you need to log in, or application you need to log in order to go in to get into the tenant, and then you can choose the host pool or applications or whatever you want, right? So basically, the users are coming to the first point, which is the managed by Microsoft tenant, and then based on the workspaces and accesses where the user have, they could see the specific RDP session, right? So then they are operating under the customer managed tenant. So as I said, within the WVD tenant, we have component. We have core components, actually 3 of them. So the first thing is the workspace. This is the place where we can see, which we can see during the logon to the WVD portal. So just to show you, this is the thing. This is the workspace name, right? So if we will create workspace like, I don't know, very long name / something, it will appear here, right? So I think we should use the as much simple namings as it possible, but I like to have some naming conventions. So every time when I'm deploying the WVD, I have some convention for that, for the namings. So you can see that this is the like a W space, which is from the workspace _ desktop. So I know that this is, even if I will have those resources from the PowerShell, if I get them, I will see that this is the workspace. So this is about that. This is about the workspace. Then the second thing is the host pool. As I said, this is the group. This is the thing which group session host into the pools, right? So there are 2 types of pools actually. We can have desktop experience and remote apps. Desktop experience, this is the simple RDP session, or the remote apps. This is the situation when we can choose which applications should be available across this host pool for the users, but they will be unable to log into the RDP. They will see only the applications. So if there will be no questions, maybe we can think today about configuring as well remote apps. But let's see how it will go. Then the last thing is the application group. This is the resource where we can assign permissions for the users or groups from our environment, from our Azure AD, for example, into this WVD environment. So those app groups have the configuration for the applications, right? So if we will have remote app, we will configure applications within this app group. And as an example, we can see this session desktop RDP connection, right? So basically the session desktop is the default one, the default name for the desktop experience type of deployment. But of course, as mostly everything in Azure, we can change that name. It's very easy to change. So those components works together. So in fact, they have some dependencies, right? But in a nutshell, sorry, every time when you will deploy WVD, you will have those 3 components, right? Even it doesn't matter if you will use PowerShell or GUI or CLI, every time you need to deploy those 3, right? So, but I told you that there are 3 core components of WVD, but there is another one. So this is the session host, standard VMs, right? We can add standard VMs to the host pool, and then when accessing the WVD, we'll, based on the load balancing algorithms, we'll be logging to the one of those. Do we have any questions for now? As for now, because yeah, I just want to check if there are any. As I said, please ask you, give me some questions. I will try to answer all of them. So maybe let's do the small check if there are any. If not, I will continue. So I can see that there are no. So yeah, let's go back to the presentation. But as always, we know that within the Azure, we have virtual machines and we have virtual machine scale sets. So there is also a possibility to deploy VMSS as a session host for our host pool, into our host pool under the WVD environment. But as I said, this is also additional thing. I didn't plan it for today, but if we'll have time and someone would like to see that how we can do that, of course I can try to put it somewhere into our workshop. So let's talk about the requirements. We went through the WVD core components, so now we need to talk about the requirements. for simple deployment like we are going to proceed today, we need two things. First thing is the network connection. So we need to deploy the virtual network, in fact, right? Because without that, we will not be able to configure the DNS servers. We will not be able to get some IP addresses and other things. So basically, today I will use my VNet where I have 3 subnets. One is
Robert, sorry for interrupting. There's a question.
Sure.
In the chat, in the Teams, can we assign many host pools to the same workspace to separate apps from the desktops on the RD web portal? There is need to have 2 separate host pools and 2 workspaces.
Yeah, that's great that we are having questions from the beginning. I'm so happy. So basically, there is no limitation as far as I know if you create a workspace and then you need to add host pools, right? Because you can either create additional host pool, additional workspace, and then put the host pools there, or you can, for example, think about upfront, like, okay, if I'm having the workspace and application groups and other things, maybe I can segregate it by purpose, right? To, I don't know, to create some resources for the accounting team, for the marketing team, for the IT department as well. So there are no limitations as far as I know, but of course I can try to check it during the break. So we'll back to you with the answer if it's not okay for you, right? So yeah, I can see that Piotr is writing something. So let's wait. Maybe he will ask another question.
Of course, we encourage you, Piotr, to just unmute yourself and
yeah, you can ask question using mic, not only the chat. Okay, so maybe in the meantime, I will describe the VNet that I will be using today. First subnet, ADDS, this is the place where I'm having my domain configured. The second subnet is the management. So basically, this will be used for our golden image creation. And the last one is well described, which is the WVD. And I can see, as per your experience, it's better to have 2 separate host pools, one for apps and another for desktops. Yeah, actually, yes, because normally I'd like to have the clean environment when I deploy something, right? So I prefer to separate remote apps from the desktops because, first of all, we need to remember that it's all about the application groups. So we cannot have under the application group 2 types of host pools. We need to separate them. So that means by the logic, every time I'm doing the separation of them, right? So mostly I creating the one workspace, for example, but 2 application groups for the separate types, like the full desktop experience and remote apps, and then just adding the one host pool to each of them and deploy the session host if needed. So yeah, let's go back to the presentation. I can see that Piotr is writing. I will answer the question when it comes. So the VNet, right? I guess we all know that VNet is the basic one. So then we have the authentication, and I want to have a stop here regarding the authentication, because in our example, we will use the Azure Active Directory domain services. But normally, if you will have, for example, your corporate environment and you want to deploy WVD in your corporate Azure resources, so you might need to use the on-premise AD, right, to authenticate users. So it doesn't matter if you will use on-premise AD or Azure ADDS or Azure AD. This is the matter that you need to have the source for the authentication, right? So this is the most important thing. And to be honest, if you deployed Azure AD domain services like it was mentioned under the invitation that you all received, there was a link to the article describing how to deploy that. Please click this option, like required configuration steps, because we need to tell your VNet that he should use custom DNS servers, not the Azure ones. So please, if you haven't done this before, please go now to your Azure AD domain services and click this configure button, because it will help in a deployments and will not cause any issues, right? So if you want, you can do it now or some kind later, because also I will remind that one more time. So yeah, the Azure AD and the VNet, and of course the last thing, but not the last but not least, the subscription. We cannot do this without having the subscription. We cannot do this without having the money for that. So if you have the trial subscription, that's good. If you have your MSDN subscription, that's also good. Or if you are doing it under your corporate subscription, that's also awesome. So it depends on you, right? So do we have any other questions regarding the things that we are talking about? Yeah, everybody, I can see the answer from Piotr. Everybody is at home most probably in this moment, so we need to remember that. That kind of noises could be in every house in this moment. So if there are no other questions, let me just go and show the demo. But before demo, I just want to remind a couple of things. Can you guys confirm that you have deployed Azure ADDS? I'm asking people who want to walk with me through this workshop. So maybe this is the good time to take a look at the chat. So if there are any people who want to walk with us during this deployment and do the same like we will do, please click raise hand option from the Teams, and then this will give me information how many people will walk with me, and then I will do the stops. I will try to answer the questions, fix the issues. So yeah, let's maybe give 1 minute for shy people to decide if they want to raise a hand or no. Okay, 1. Even twice. Okay, 2 persons, great. If there are any others, of course, you can do this, but yeah, the goal for that was to inform me if somebody will work with me together, or I can just adjust the speed to me. So yeah, first thing is to confirm that you have deployed Azure ADDS. So guys, can you confirm and check if you have deployed it? Hello, Mohammed. So if you will confirm that you have deployed Azure ADDS, please confirm that you have added your global admin to the Azure AD group, which is called AAD DC Administrators. Let me change the source of what I'm sharing. So this is the name of the group. Please go to your Azure AD, then groups, and check if you have this group, and then put your global admin account into this group, because that will be a part of our exercise today. And yeah, going back to the presentation. When you will add your global admin, please reset the password for this account, because this account has to be synchronized to your Azure AD DS, and because of that, there is the requirement to reset the password, because after that it will work. So please remember to reset the password. Then when you will do this, please create WVD_users group within your Azure AD and add this global admin account there. So also I did that on my environment. So let me share it. Let me share my environment. We have the groups, we have the WVD users, and we have my DOMOP. DOMOP is my domain admin from my on-premise, and GA global admin from Azure perspective. Going back to the presentation, you can skip this this create test users, or maybe don't skip that. Please create one additional user and add him to the WVD users group, because then you will be able to see how we can assign permissions to for this WVD environment, because we will use this WVD users group, and global admin mostly have access everywhere, but we want to test it with the user. And as I mentioned on the slide before, please click configure within the Azure AD DS, because we need to make sure that DNS servers are configured to use that the VNet is configured to use the DNS servers from your Azure AD DS. Any questions as for now? If not, I will move to the second slide. So here you will see some of the things that you might see on the screen when I will go through the demo. So I will have 4 resource groups, which is RG-ADDS-NEU, and the same for the management network and WVD. So here is the very small naming convention that I'm using in this moment. RG is the acronym for the resource group, then there is a service name, and then 3 letters acronym from the region. So NEU means North Europe in my case. So as you can see here, this is also the description what kind of the resources will be placed in which resource group. So ADDS or domain controller / VM. Then the management group for the golden image creation, the shared image gallery, and other things. Network, of course, we need to have the network. And the last one, which is for the WVD. So then let me show you the core components, and we will start deployment right after this slide. So we will deploy 3 core components. One is the workspace. It will call AZ workshop _ W space _ desktop. Then we will deploy host pool, AZ workshop _ host, and other namings, and of course application group. And to be honest, max session limit will be configured to 2 users per each of the session hosts. And load balancing algorithm will be configured to depth first. So there are 2 types of algorithms, breadth first and depth first. I'm not going into those algorithms and describe and draw how they are working. If you want, please take a Google and take a look there about that. There is one thing that we need to do. Please go to this GitHub repo. I will put this URL on the chat, and then download this particular file, which is section 1 initial deployment steps. So let me just type the URL to the chat, and it will get other things. So this is the URL. And please download the first file, the section 1, initial deployment steps. So now I will change my screen to the Visual Studio Code, of course, and we'll describe the script that we are going to use. Can you confirm if you can see my code in a good way, or maybe I need to make it bigger?
That's fine. It's
okay.
Good.
It's good. That's great. So yeah, let's start. Of course, at the beginning there is throw, just to remind that this is not a robust file, so it's not a script that you can just type the name from the command line and just fire it and forget. This is the steps. These are the steps that we need to go through. So I will use verbose in my script. So let me just declare those values. Then we need to configure some variables, right? Like, for example, we need to give the name for the resource location, like the WVD location, like the Windows Virtual Desktop resource group name, management resource group name, prefix, and other things. You can, of course, play with those names. You can decide to use, for example, 2 instead of 1, right? Before this workshop, I have deployed it once, so I have a dry run version. So I will create it like that, maybe with 2s at the end. So what we are going to do here is to first install missing module if it's not yet installed. So I just decide to run it every time. It's pretty fast installation, so it shouldn't take long. Then we need to import the actual module. And let's declare the values. As you can see, my resource location will be North Europe, but WVD location will be East US. And here I just want to give you the reminder about this one slide that I was showing before. So that means this is the location for the Microsoft managed resources, right? You can choose also regions, but they are only from US, right? So I have decided to use the East US. And then this is the location for the customer managed resources. So let's declare that. Then we have other variables which I already described, and we can do the really quick array, which is called WVD config. So if we will check that, we will see that some of the things were done automatically, like the host pool name is created, preferred app group type is desktop, then app group name and other things are following the same logical naming convention. And then we are almost done with this step. So we need to connect to the Azure AD, and we need to get the ID of the WVD users group. So let's connect to the Azure AD. I'm doing it right now. You will not see that because I'm sharing only the application. So yeah, this is the standard. Yeah, sorry. I pushed the wrong button, cancel instead of save. Yeah. Okie dokie, so we are in. Now let's take another declaration of the variable. So here we should have the information about the WVD users and the object ID. We will use that later in the script when we will assign user group to the application group. So yeah, that was the first thing. And then the really fast thing is to log in and is to connect to the Azure account and then create resource groups if they are missing. So another logging process. So yeah, I will try to make it really fast. And as you can see, we are creating those resource groups. Let me just take a look on the chat if we are having any questions. Can we get record session? Yes, this is the, as far as I know, it's also published over the YouTube. Am I right, guys?
Yes, exactly. You can use the link to the YouTube channel and you'll be able to just watch it later if you need.
So, yeah, let me just sum up what we did in this moment. In this moment, we have declared some things within the PowerShell, and then we have created 2 resource groups. So, yeah, maybe I will try to hide taskbar from my laptop, from my screen, and maybe I will share the full screen. It will be much more easier for everyone. Yeah. You should be able to see my screen now. Okay, so now let me just go to the tenant and let's see if we are having those resource groups created. Yes, we have the management 2 and we have the WVD 2. So they are empty in this moment. Just to prove they are empty. So let's go back to the code. We have created them, and then this section will be pretty fast because when we will run this for each, we will create lots of resources. So first of all, I will walk you through the code, and then we will run it. So we will take each entry from this variable WVD config because we want to have the proper names, and we will declare some new variables, which will be the workspace name, host pool name, and etc. Right? First of all, we will check if the preferred app group type is desktop or remote app. If desktop, the application group type will be set up to desktop. If not, it will be remote app. And then first thing from the famous 3 core components will be to deploy workspace. Here is the simple test, logical test, if this workspace that we are going to deploy is already created or no. If not, we will create that. So we will see the information that we are going to create the workspace with the workspace name, as you can see here, and the name of the resource group, of course, with the location. This line actually will start the actual deployment of the workspace, the creation of the workspace, and of course, if it already exists, you will see this information. The other 2 components, which are the host pools and application groups, an application group will use the same logic. First will be the test, then if the resource does not exist, we will create it, and then of course, if it was created before, we will see the information that this resource already exists. So you can see that here we are using the dedicated comments for host pool creation, but here is the additional one, which is the registration info. We need to create the registration key for our host pool, because without that, we will not be able to join any hosts to it. So we will do this, and I will show you after this deployment. We will walk through the portal and see what we have created, what we have done, and what are the dependencies. The third thing is the application group. So here we are, as I said, following the same idea, but here are some of the additional comments like we need to get the host pool ID because we need to link it to the application group, and then we need to update the WVD workspace. So in fact, that part is the most important one, because without this particular code, those resources like workspace and host pool will not be connected to anything. It will be like just a standalone resources that are deployed. When we will run those things like create the host pool, not to create the host pool, but get the host pool ID, then create the application group with the specific host pool ID, and then after that update the workspace, we will link those three components together to make sure that our WVD environment will work properly. And the last line from the code is the role assignment. So basically, this is the thing that will add our WVD_users to the specific application group that we already created. So we will use that application group which is created here. So that's all about this code. Let me just run it and hope that it will not that it will work, because every time I had a feeling that maybe I did the change and I forgot to save, something like that. So let's check it. As you can see, I have mentioned to you that we will see some information, of course, that what is the step of creation, like creating new application group and other things. Of course, like I said, adding users to the specific user group. So we are done for now, right? We are done for now. We have managed to deploy the resources. So let me just go to the portal. So if we'll go to this portal, we will refresh. Let me just check one thing. Okay, you can see that. I just want to see how many things you can see from the stream. Okay. So, yeah. We have deployed 3 resources. As I said, workspace, host pool, and application group. When we will go through each of them, we can see that this particular workspace is connected to the application group. And basically, this is the thing which will allow us to access WVD environment. So if I will open new browser and go to the TechNet and get the link. Sorry, always I'm forgetting the full link. So this is the simple and fastest way for me to log in. So yeah, let's sign in using my user. And I just want to show you the workspace names. This is my previous one, the dry run deployment that I did before our workshop. And this is our new one, the freshly created workspace. So as you can see, this name, AZ Workshop 2 _ W space _ desktop, is exactly the same as it is here. So if you, for example, will create if you will have any typo or in the naming of the workspace, or you want to change it, it's not a problem for you. You can remove, or you can first create new workspace with the proper name, then remove the application group from here, and then deploy additional, and then add it to the new one and remove the old one, right? So basically, this is the simple remove, add stuff. So it's not a problem for you. Don't be afraid if you made a typo. So this is the workspace name. Then we are having the host pool. And let's see what are the host pools. So here you have lots of information that you can use. For example, you have the RDP properties. And I need to tell you that Now I'm showing and we are using the spring update of WVD. And before that, there was a fall update, which was not the standard ARM resource. The deployment was pretty different from the thing which is now, because you had to provide the consent to the tenant, you had to create the tenant, you had to do a lot of other things, and it wasn't so automated in a good way. Even if you want to configure some some RDP properties, you were doing that from the PowerShell, from using the configuration of the RDP settings, not just simple and easy like here. You can just click and decide what do you want to change. But going back to the original topic, if you will go to the RDP properties, you can see some interesting things like, okay, we can decide either we want to allow audio, video redirection or no. If you want to, for example, if you want to have Teams installed within your WVD environment, you should consider enabling audio, video. And of course, when we will go to the golden image creation for Teams, especially, there are some special packages that you need to install on the image in order to make sure that this Teams solution will work properly. So normally, every time when I deploying the WVD, I want to make it secure, and the easiest way for making it secure is to disable the clipboard. So basically, clicking here means that I will be unable to copy paste from my PC, which I'm logging here and I'm providing you those slides and the whole workshop. I will be unable to copy paste anything to the session host, right? So this is the simplest way of doing kind of security. Please don't take it as a fully secure way of deployment. Of course, you need to apply your level of antivirus, EDRs, and other things, but this will help you much. So let's save it. And then under the, sorry, not the properties, but yeah, here we are having the application group. So you can see that application group is linked to the workspace and to the host pool. So we can add other applications group as well, but the thing that I want to show you is here you can add, for example, new session host. And we will do that today actually from the portal. And if there will be a time and we would like to do this, we can try to create a dedicated image for the VMSS and deploy VMSS. So going back, we are having the host pool. We have described some of the things from the RDP properties and which things we have under the manage section. But the most important thing, as I said during the part when I was running the code, is the registration key. We have created that already using the code. Without that, we will be unable to deploy any resources, any session hosts to this host pool, because this specific registration key is linking our session host to our host pool. So remember, if you will have two host pools deployed, which will have different keys, you need to remember to have different images for each of them, because of course, because you need to be able to join those session hosts to the proper host pool. So yeah, this is about that. And then let's go to the application group, the famous one. We can see that this is the desktop one. The application type is desktop. And same, within the properties, you can choose the friendly name, the description, but this is not yet the place what I was showing you from the RDP. So let me just open the, yeah, this session desktop is not that name. We will change it right about now, but from the different place. We need, in order to do that, we need to go to the applications, click on the session desktop, and let's call it AZ Workshop 9 as an example. So now when I will push the F5, it should change to AZ workshop name. And yeah, as you can see, this name should not be so long because it will give you 2 lines of the name, right? So please remember that. So yeah, I need to click on it. And if we will have remote app, if we will have the remote app deployment, we will be able to add the applications here. As we are having in this moment only the desktop experience deployment, we have in fact one application, which is the full RDP connection, right? So that's why we are having it here. Then within the assignments, we will see the group called WVD users. This is our group of the users which were provided when I was running the code. So this group or members of this group will be allowed to access this environment. So let me switch to the Teams and check if there are any questions. So do you have any questions, guys? I'm asking the persons who are following me with their environment. Maybe I should help you somehow, or maybe you have some issues. Let's give them 5 minutes, maybe. Okay, so far so good from Piotr. Nice to hear that. And what about the speed of my presentation? Do you want to make it kind of slower, or I can keep the same speed? I'm asking that because I received feedback a couple of times that I'm trying to, I'm doing it so fast that sometimes people are missing what was the previous thing to configure and other things. So yeah, I don't want you to lose the focus on the workshop. Good. So we have, let me just sum up. We have deployed 3 core components, and yeah, one is missing, the session host, but we will do that soon. So let me just go back to the presentation. Yeah, it was here. You should be able to see the presentation. So yeah, I have one query. Can we do the break, which is like a 3 minutes break, and then I just need to to take another cup of coffee or water. So does it sound good for you guys? 3 minutes of break?
Yep, I think it's a good idea.
Yeah, great.
We have one question. Maybe we can take a look on the Teams. If we create both app group and desktop one on the RD portal, we have all in the same line section. Can we separate them?
What do you mean the same line section? You mean the code, right? So let me go back to the code. So basically, if I understood it correctly, you're talking about that because here we are having only the one, right? Which is only for the on the RDP portal. Yeah, so let's go back to the portal. So you mean if we will have 2 separate app groups and workspace and host pools for remote app and desktop app? Yes, you can have them within one workspace because you can link the application group to the workspace and to the host pool. So that means you can have the situation when you have full RDP connection, like here, and then you can have the calculator or other published applications like Internet Explorer or anything else, like, right? So I hope this answered your question. Yeah, great. So 3 to 4 minutes break and we'll be back soon, okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okie dokie, so I'm back. Yeah, I can see that there is a new question. Previously on the WVD Classic, there was a need to create tenant, to choose concept on the RD web portal, to assign tenant creator role. I assume that this is not the case within the Spring release. Yes, it's not required. You don't need to do this. So basically, this is why it's better, right? And to be honest, now the Spring release is the fully ARM, so you can deploy also using the ARM templates, the whole solution. And I need to tell you that me and my colleagues from my company, and I can see two of them even on this workshop, we were working with one of the customers to deploy the whole WVD in an automated way using the DevOps. So it's possible, it's doable. But there are lots of traps like Azure Image Builder in preview. But maybe it will be a good example to talk about that in another series, another workshop, maybe not this time. But yeah, we can do it also in a really automated way. So maybe, yeah, we can go back to the original idea, which was another part of presentation. Golden image creation. So I called it golden image, right? Because I think this is the best way. What is the golden image, to be honest? This is our image that we will use to deploy across all of those session hosts. So basically, this is the master image. I call it golden image, right? So why we want to create the golden image? So first thing is, as we can see on the screen, application consistency between session hosts. So if you will have a situation when you are having 3 or 4 session hosts, you will be able to manage that application consistency manually, right? You can log into every session host, do the management stuff, and log off, right? But if you are having 100, or I don't know, if you have 20 host pools using the same image, and inside of each of them, of the host pool, there are, I don't know, 50 or 60 session hosts, that might be a problem, right? So that's why we need to have the golden image for that particular reason. One image, as you can see, there is only one image to service, right? Not n plus servers separately. So this is the beauty of that. This is also easy to scale, right? If you want to start low, like from 2, it's possible. But then if you will have more users that will use that environment, you can scale it. I mean, you can deploy an additional servers, and then based on that, you can do it by clicking or deploying the pipeline, right? And the last thing is the versioning. We know that sometimes when you are working on something, you might change some stuff, and then after, I don't know, 6 months, you want to roll back to the previous image because it was better. It hasn't got issues with the performance. So using the versioning, you can do that. There is another thing that I didn't put it here, but for example, if you will deploy the full, I don't how to call it. If you would like to have the full enterprise deployment of the WVD, I bet you will use FS Logics for that. This is the feature that will allow you to store your profile for the user and office profile, not on the session host itself, but on the remote storage. It could be Azure files, it could be NetApp files, or it could be even the network storage standard served from the session host. So that means if you will configure this FS Logics, you will be very easy to work with those session hosts as resources which you can remove and deploy new ones, right? Because all the data stored on the user profiles will be stored with using the network share the domain joint network share, to be honest, but we can do that, right? So in that case, this golden image is really useful for you because you can also include the FS logic configuration within this golden image, and then during the deployment you can deploy it. If you would like to have some changes within this within those session hosts, you can just simply remove them, deploy new ones from the new fresh image, and then you don't need to care about the data that the users stored any data within those session hosts. So this is the overview about the golden image creation. So let's go further with some diagrams, right? How the golden image creation process looks. So it is simple. First, we need to start with a cleanup VM. Remember to use the Windows 10 multi-session VM. We have the dedicated multi-session option. I will show you where we can find it. So first, start with the clean VM. It shouldn't be actually domain joined because we will do the sysprep. So in fact, it will remove that. So it shouldn't be the domain join. Then this VM should have managed disk. We know that there is also a way to deploy VM with the unmanaged disk, but I want to make sure that we are all on the same page. When we have the VM, there is a time to configure operating system and applications like line of business applications. I don't know. We can assume in our case, we will use Acrobat Reader as our line of business critical application. So yeah, we need to install them. Then we need to do the optimization. There is a script provided under the Microsoft Azure GitHub. There is a script that optimize the session host, the image for the session host. It removes lots of features, changing some settings. So we will use this script today. Then when you have almost done, you can create the snapshot as a point in time. It's not kind of backup for you, right? If you, for example, decide to use sysprep in a wrong way, then you need to do the sysprep, right? With the general, to be more specific, sysprep with the generalized option and shutdown. If you will make a mistake and choose the restart or reboot, I don't remember how it goes. I think it's restart. You will break this image. So that's why you need to have snapshot in order to redeploy that. After the sysprep, we can do the capture. So that means we will have the actual image created. Of course, we can remove the VM because we don't need it anymore, and we need to add it to the shared image gallery. And to be specific with you guys, there is one step which we can reduce from this list. This is the step like here. Sorry, yeah, my pointer was broken, I guess. So, sorry, too fast. So we want to make sure that even from this particular point, which is the creation of the image, we can deploy the session host, right? Shared image gallery could help us, but if it's not the shared image gallery, it's not a problem. We can deploy that. So we can do it. We can do it that way. So in that case, this is not required. So I just want to tell you that there is a kind of the shortcut. So maybe let's start from with the demo. As before, I will have some recommendations. So with our golden image, we need to first of all deploy the VM, then use the optimized script, configure OS features, and clean up the resources. For that case, we will use the script section 2, but please don't download it yet because we need to upload the script to the VM. So basically, first of all, maybe we can try to create the VM. The second thing from this demo will be creation of shared image gallery. So we will create the snapshot, we will create the image from VM, remove the VM, then we will upload the snapshot to the SIG, which is Shared Image Gallery acronym. And yeah, we will use that for the deployment. There will be a third script, but please bear with me. I'm switching to my lab to make sure that we can work on that. So now let's deploy the the VM. So let's go from the total beginning. When we will log into the Azure portal, let's go to the Azure groups, the resource group, sorry. Then choose our freshly created resource group. In our case, it was this one. And then we can click add to add new resource because we want to deploy new resource, right? So let's type Windows 10 and don't choose this one, the first one, preview. We need to choose Microsoft Windows 10. When we will click that, we will be moved to the new screen. And here, don't use this default version. We need to scroll down and we need to use this one, Windows 10 Enterprise Multi-Session version 2004. Why it's so important? Because this specific multi-session version allows multiple users to log into the Windows 10. So it's kind of like it's working like a server because it allows multiple connections, but it's still VM, the standard end user workstation. So yeah, when we will click that, we need to fill some information. So we need to choose the subscription, we need to choose the resource group, it will remain the same, then VM name. In my case, it will be golden image, Windows 10, Windows 10, multi-session, multi-user, and we can call it maybe like that. It could be like that. Then region, I have everything deployed in North Europe, so I will follow that idea. So I will change the North Europe. We don't need any availability options. We have the image pickup from the screen before. Image size DS1, V2, it could be good for us. Then we need to create the admin account. So in my case, I will use the sysop. Sysop means system operator, and provide password. We want to allow selected ports, so we want to have option to log in with the within the RDP. And yeah, the next thing is to confirm that we have reliable Windows 10 licenses. If you have, for example, Microsoft 365 E3, as I remember, from E3 up to E5, you can click yes because you will have those licenses. It's a meaning of the licensing model, so please, if you want to double check if you can do this within your corporate network, please double check what kind of licenses you have in this moment. I'm not going to deploy it with the premium SSD, I will deploy it with the standard SSD, but it still will be a managed disk. Then from the networking, I will create new network for that purpose. I will tell you why after the deployment, or maybe even now. I have already created the VNet for our workshop, but this VNet is configured to use our domain DNS server. So I will be unable to download anything because this is only the lab. So to be honest, I'm so lazy, and I will just create new VNet to make sure that I will be able to download the file, which is the Adobe Acrobat Reader installer. And then after that, I will remove those resources at the end. So let's go to the management. We don't need debug diagnostics. We don't want to to enable auto shutdown. Let's go next. We can skip that. If you like to add tags, you're welcome. You can add whatever you want. In that case, I'm skipping that. So yeah, let's wait for the validation. And yeah, just click create. And now it's the time when I need to take a look on the chat if there are any questions. Not at all in this moment. Not at all. here as well. Let's wait for the deployment. It will take some time. I can see that on the YouTube there was a question to zoom it. Yeah, I just did that. So yeah, if there will be any other questions regarding that, please feel free, inform us. I will do as much as possible to help you with this workshop.
There is one additional question in the comments from Piotr.
Yeah. Can you show how the VNet is configured, the IP port, etc.? Piotr, you mean? Yeah, I can show you. So basically, for the WVD, I will use dedicated VNet, right? Because I have created before. So basically, what you can see, this is my address space 10.000/24. Then I have subnets, which are free subnets actually, management, WVD, and ADDS. I have cut this VNet to make sure that I will be able to use a couple of subnets. So if you want, also you can take a screenshot, or later during the YouTube see how it was configured. And then here I'm having the DNS server, right? So this is the IP address of my DNS server, which is the domain controller in my environment, right? Because for you guys, I have provided the manual to deploy Azure ADDS because it was the simplest one for people who don't know how to configure the ID, right? So most probably you have two IP addresses here, which will be like a 4 and 5, for example, if you follow the same network space. But yeah, you will have that. And to be honest, one more time to be honest with you, the good thing with the WVD is that you don't need to provide public IP addresses for your session host. We will use only the private IP addresses, right? In this moment, I'm having only the one IP address because the public IP address, which is here, this is the IP address for my domain controller, because today I was checking if it's working properly or no, because I was using that a couple of days ago. So going back to the management, we can see that the deployment was done. So yeah, maybe I can switch that. I can switch that. Yeah, we can see that we have the virtual machine, we have IP address, we have network security group, and other resources which comes with the standard deployment. So let's do the trick and log in there. Let's see if we will be able to log in there. Yeah, that's good behavior. Yeah, and I will show one thing not related to the WVD, but if you will have situation when you are deploying the VM and by mistake you don't forget your password to your local user, but you know this local user, remember that you have here option to reset password. You just need to provide the username, confirm password, click update, and then it will be automatically changed, right? So this is also an option that from time to time I'm using, because sometimes you can just, without intense click caps lock, for example, and then it might be a problem for you. So let's log in with our sysop account. Yeah, try not to type the wrong password. Okie dokie, it's coming. Of course, we choose the very cheap size of the VM, so we will need to give him some time to start. But yeah, soon it will log in properly. And I need to tell you guys that today, before this workshop, we were talking with Michał and Piotr that last time they had a situation that they stuck with this login screen. So yeah, hopefully this time it will not happen. We need to wait. Let's check the chat. Nothing's there. So what we need to do is to download this section 2 script from the GitHub repo and just simply copy paste to the remote desktop. So I have it on my disk. I'm not going to download it, so I will just copy paste that. But before that, let's install the Acrobat Reader, or you can use any other application. You can use, for example, Notepad++. It's up to you what you want to do. In my case, I'm always showing the Acrobat Reader. So yeah, let's type into the Bing. And the second hint is the proper one, the one that we are looking for. As I said, we are doing it just to show you that we will create the session host from our golden image, right? So we will use Acrobat Reader as a line of business application. You can install, of course, Office, you can install any other applications within this golden image. And then when ready, just do the sysprep. And speaking about the Office, remember that there is a configuration for the Office that you can, for example, choose which applications from the Office package you want to use, right? Like only, for example, to use the Excel, Outlook, and Word, not PowerPoint. You can choose that. You can put the information about the company, about the ELA, and other things. So you can use this kind of automation. In the meantime, when it will be downloading and installing, give me a second. I will find the link and put it over the chat. So this is the link. And basically with this link, you can create a auto-annotate file for the installation, and then you need to download the Office deployment tool for it into your server or VM, where we can call it golden image workstation, and you can use this configuration file made from the config.office.com. It's not so far to the end of this installation, so maybe in the meantime I can minimize that and open the script for you guys to show you what we are going to do.
Yeah, Azure is very slow today.
Yeah, exactly. Before this workshop, I was doing every step from this workshop alone, like a dry run, and everything was working pretty smooth. Now, when the presentation comes, it's like on hold mode. But I get used to this, actually. Come on. Okay, either the PowerShell is killing this VM or the Acrobat reader or both. So maybe let's wait those 10% of time and we will have it soon. Yeah, it opened, but in the wrong place. Maybe let's just wait. Oh, actually something is progressing. Yeah, I can show you the script from here. So we will do the OS configuration. So first time, like first of all, like the last time, we will do the declaration of the variables, which will be the link to the optimization script and some things like where to save it and download stuff. Then we will download the actual script, expand the archive, run it, and wait for the script to finish. And then we will need to reboot after this script when it finished. So after the reboot, we will do some small customization, which is the disabling Windows updates, time zone redirection configuration, and disabling storage sense. And after that, we will do the sysprep. So as you can see, it's not so complex solution from the code perspective, but it will speed up lots of things with the performance. So basically, all those applications which you can see normally when it's working from the menu, they will be removed. Okay, that's good news. It was finished. Yeah, so the installer took all the resources. Lesson learned, choose different application for another workshop. Okay, never mind. So let me just zoom it a little bit. Yeah, I want to see the script. Okay, so we already described that. Let's, yeah, that's not logical here. And this should be here. Okay, let's run this code. We have declared the variables, so we can see, we can check if, yeah, it was declared. ctools as well. Then let's start the optimization, right? So first of all, we need to download the script, and we can use this one, those lines for that. Yeah, probably the, I need to check if the, yeah, I didn't create the, the tools folder, so sorry for that. The easiest way. Now we can download. Yeah, we can see that it was downloaded. So if you will run the script, please remember to create new directory. You can use that line, for example. I will put it on the chat. So yeah, we have downloaded. Then yeah, let's create a dedicated directory inside of it, and then let's start the actual archive stuff. We will move also to the location because we want to run the script. Let's change the execution policy and let's start. And I need to tell you one thing. When you will run the script, most probably in 99.9% of cases, there will be some red, bad informations like errors. Don't bother with that. It will go forward and it will work. And another thing is you will lose your connection for a couple of seconds during the script run. Don't be afraid of that. Don't close, don't open it one more time. It will connect automatically, so don't bother with that. And yeah, a little bit info what the script will do. He will remove unnecessary applications like, for example, I don't know, Paint 3D, as we saw that, Xbox configurations, or any other system services or configurations that might take some performance of your VM. So to make sure that we will be able to work very smoothly within this session host, when it will be a session host, right? Because now we are working on the golden image. and it will take around 5 to 10 minutes to finish the whole script. If you want to take a look at the script, just check it over the GitHub. It's not my own script. I just make a fork for the GitHub repo on my GitHub area. But yeah, this is the really nice script that could speed up the things with the performance. Let's check if there are any questions. Nothing over the chat. Question to guys who are doing the deployment as well with me. How's your progress? Have you got any problems, issues that I can help you with those? Okay, Piotr is okay. That's good. As I said, some things were disabled, some things were removed, some things will be changed from the registry perspective, but yeah, it will do the magic after all. And this is the moment which I was mentioning before. We will lose the connection, but don't do anything. Let's leave it as it is. It will automatically connect, yeah, as you can see. When the script will finish, you will see the information that you need to reboot the server or the system, sorry. So yeah, we'll just reboot that and then we'll start from scratch. I mean, from here, from the script, and we will do the customization. Here we can see that reboot is required, so favorite restart computer, and bye-bye. Let's wait for him.
Robert, there is a question on YouTube. How many virtual CPUs the workshop will need?
How many? So basically, in this moment, we have deployed one VM, right? It's DS2 or DS1 V2 size. So it depends on you how many session hosts you want to deploy, right? We can deploy one session host and it will be okay for you. So I think 4 vCPUs will be fair enough, or maybe 5, right? Or maybe 6 if you want to deploy 2 session hosts or 3 session hosts with 2 vCPUs. But it's not the solution like you need to have, I don't know, 100 vCPUs available across your environment. You can have it really low from the resources perspective, because yeah, you can choose what kind of the size you should have, right? So I will show it also during the deployment. So hope that this answered your question. Okay, we are logged in there. So first impression, we have some resources removed from here, right? It's not the long list like it was before. So everything went smooth. And yeah, the Acrobat is still here. System is working kind of faster. So let's do now the little zoom. And yeah, maybe like that. So we did this particular section. We can move to this one, which is the customization of the OS. So as I said, disabling Windows updates, configuring times on redirection. That means if we will log in here or to the session host one more time, it will not be 6 p.m. It will take time from my PC. So it will be 7 or 8 p.m., right? It depends when we will be at that point of time. Why we are disabling Windows updates? That's simple because, for example, you want to have the, I don't know, you want to have, for example, automated way of doing that using Azure Image Builder as an example, or you want to have the team that will manage the image every month, so they will do it manually because you don't want to have automatic updates installed. You want to check them. So there are lots of reasons behind that. So I just decided to remove that. So to disable the Windows updates. And yeah, let's move further. Here we need to do the really simple stuff. I will skip that part because yeah, it's just a simple removing the tools path. Let's just run this line, which is the sysprep. And here is the important thing. As you may remember, I told you that please do the snapshot before doing the sysprep. We already did everything, so this is the time when we should do the snapshot. I will cancel that. I will turn off the VM, and then I will do the snapshot because I want to make sure that I will have point in time before this actual sysprep, right? So let's switch to the portal. Let's check when the status will be deallocated. And we will need to go to the disk and do the snapshot. But we need to make sure that VM is deallocated. Still running, so maybe small help. Deallocating, so yeah, we are almost there. And it's always taking some time to deallocate, so I will clean up some informations. Yeah, we have the VM stopped, so let's go to the disk, create a snapshot, and yeah, before make it standard 8, leave it as it is. Never mind, we need to create the snapshot. When the snapshot will be finished, I will turn on the VM one more time, and then we will log in there to do the sysprep. Done. Let's double check. Let's close those windows. And the snapshot should be here soon, because we can see that snapshot was done. Go to the resource. Yeah, we have it. So most probably Azure is not so fast today, but never mind. We have this snapshot, so we can start the VM and we can log in there. Yeah. Let's take some time for this VM because it was just turned on. Yeah. Let's give it a maybe 1 minute. Yeah, those are the informations from the previous tries, so don't be afraid of that. Yeah, we can log in there finally. Okay, so I will not open the script because I know the path AFC Windows System32 sysprep sysprep.exe and then generalize, and then here the most important thing, it should be shut down, because if you will click reboot, when it will turn on one more time after the reboot, it will ask you to fill those boring questions like the time zone, the computer name, and other things, and we know that we cannot do this using Azure. So yeah, the best way for that, it will be shut down. So in this moment, we are almost done for that part of the material. So yeah, we have sorry, yeah, we have the demo almost done, but yeah, after the snapshot we will do the one more thing. We'll create the image gallery, image from the VM, create a shared image gallery, upload files there, and wait for the rest things. So I will minimize that. And I have a question if we can do the 5 minutes break, because the next thing, when we will start, it will walk us really smooth, mostly to the end, because it's like a 1 hour, 10 minutes until the end. So yeah, I proposed 5 minutes break and we can continue.
Robert, just passing question from YouTube to the chat.
Okay, I'm back. So let's take a look at the questions. When you apply OS patches to your VM, is there a way to gracefully force users to restore their VMs built in a time required to restart. So basically, when you will have session host, right? Maybe I can show you, because as I said, I had it already done during the dry run. So when you have session host deployed, that means you will have users, right? So we can go to our host pool, click session host, then we can click on the particular session host, and we can check if there are users or no. If they will be disconnected, we can just simply click log off all users, and that means they will be logged off, because disconnected means that they just close the connection, not logged off from there. But if you want to do it in a clean way without having any arguments from our people from the company, you can click to use the drain mode. That means new connection will not be allowed for this particular host, and then you can inform users, hey guys, we need to patch, we need to do the maintenance within this particular server. Please log off, log on one more time. Your data will not be lost, of course, if we will use the FS logic for that solution. So this is the way how we can do this. So then we can, during the drain mode, we can log into this server, we can configure it, and then if needed, we can turn off the drain mode to make sure that users will be able to log in there. Or you can just decide to create the new image and deploy a new session host and remove old one when you will have this drain mode enabled, and wait for all of those users to log off. So there are a couple of ways how we can do that, but in a nutshell, the standard way is to put the drain mode and wait for the users to log off and deploy either new server, new session host, or maintenance the existing one. So yeah, let's go back here. Sorry, we were here. So now we have our snapshot before sysprep. We have our VM, and that's all, right? So next step for us is to do a shared image gallery. So let me just share the one slide with you guys. This is that slide. We already did the snapshot, so we can skip that point. We will create image from the VM. We will create shared image gallery and upload this one particular image to this gallery, right? And as I told you before, we can basically, when we will have the image, this one image, we can start deployment, right? But we want to do it in a nice way, so we will move this image to this specific SIG, which is shared image gallery. So for that part of the workshop, we will need to use the section 3 script. So please download it for your PC, not anywhere else, not to the server which was configured. You need to download it to your PC. So now I will open the script and we will start on that. So yeah, one more time, we have our favorite section regarding the verbose, and then we have some resources configuration, right? So we need to declare some values like resource location, WVD location. We need to provide the VM name. We need to get some date, because my idea is that snapshot name will have snap dash prefix, then it will be the VM name, then underscore, then the day, the actual day, right? And the image will be the same, but at the beginning there will be emg dash prefix. So let's declare those values. And we need to provide the VM name. And that's funny because I don't remember that VM name. So let me just do the copy paste. And yeah. It should be copy paste, but why it was not working? gi-w10 mu. Okay. So we have provided those things. If you want to create the snapshot in an automatic way, what you can use that particular section of code, but we did that. But maybe it will be worth to show you how the script works. So yeah, the script will take a look at the okay, sorry, my bad, wrong declaration, because we have changed those. We have deployed new resource groups, so we need to fix that. So now it should be okay. Script will take a look for that VM, take the OS disk ID, then put into the snapshot and do the magic dance. And after that, we will have the new snapshot with this particular name. So actually it's done in this moment. So let's check here. Yeah, soon Azure portal will see that and we will have it here, believe me. So if we have the snapshot, we can proceed with those. So now we can, for example, go with the image creation, and to make sure that the image will be created in a proper way, VM has to be deallocated. So that's why we are having the script that will check if the VM is deallocated or no. So the first steps will be to get the VM name, get the VM object using this group, resource group name and VM name, and then check the status if it's deallocated or no. If not, it will deallocate the VM. So let's do that. We can see stopping VM, and when it will be stopped, we'll be able to go forward with the script. So let's take a look here. Deallocating, that's great. You can see that we have the snapshot name, the snapshot that we have created here. So the script was right, and he did a good job. And what we'll do next, if the VM is deallocated, we will take the disk ID from this VM. Then we will check if this particular image already exists or no. If not, we will create the image config, and we will create the OS disk image. And after all, we'll declare the OS disk image that it's generalized and it's Windows type. And after all of those configurations, we will just simply create the image using those variables. So let's run it. And yes, as you can see, every time I'm putting all of those informations like VM name, OS disk with those names, with those informations, because I want to have it for the future troubleshooting as an example, or to know what's happening with my code, right? Like information. We are doing the image, so yeah, let's see if it will appear somewhere here. Yeah, we can see that the resource has been created, EMG. So it's following the name pattern that I put it here. So now the halfway done, we have the image. From now we can deploy the session host, but let's do it in a nice way. Let's create the shared image gallery. So same way, we will need to provide the shared image gallery name. Then we will have a small test, logical test. If there is no image gallery with this particular name within this particular resource group, we will create that. So you need to remember that shared image gallery name should follow the same patterns like storage account name. So lowercase without any dashes and other things. So let's do it like that, because most probably I have SIG AZ workshop 9 already created, so I have just added U. And we are creating another resource, which will be image gallery. It will pop up here soon. Yeah, it's done. You can see it here. SIG AZU Workshop 9, shared image gallery. With those shared image galleries, there is a nice thing because you can put the image into this resource and decide on which regions your image should be available. For example, you can decide, okay, we can use this image under the North Europe, West Europe, but another image should be only used for the North Europe. So that's also nice stuff to do to configure that. So if you can see, if you take a look here under this variable region 1, I'm declaring here that it will be North region and only one replica count. So let's run the script. The script will take the gallery name, the gallery object, sorry, then take the image ID and then create the image definition, because every image should have image definition plus image version. So we will do those. There are some already filled parameters, but if you want, you can change it whatever you want. It should match your environment, not mine. So yeah, let's run it. Let's run it until here, like the declaration of variables. So we will have the image definition created. And I want to show you also this image definition. It's not yet here, but in the meantime, I can remove the old resources which are not in use in this moment, even this one. Yeah, we can just click. Yeah, let's remove that. If you will create image from portal, you can click to remove the VM after image creation. Same you can do with the portal, with the PowerShell, but I want to show you that there is an option to leave them as well. So yeah, we wait for that. So image definition is done. Let's run the image version. It will take a while to finalize. So in this moment, yeah, we will switch here to the Azure portal because I want to refresh that and show you some things. We can see that there is an image definition created, and soon there will be image version as well. But we are doing lots of things like removing. Yeah, we can see that there is an image version as well, and it's under the creating state. It will take a while, so I will show you some trick. But we want to clean those resources. It's removing them. Yeah. So now we have the cleaned management resource group. We have created the snapshot as a point in time backup. We have two snapshots, actually, one before sysprep, another after sysprep, just to show you the naming convention. Then we have created the image from this VM that we were removing just before. And then we have created the shared image gallery in which we have placed this particular image as an image definition and image version. So if we go here to the shared image gallery, you can see that here you have image definition, and then you can see the image version inside of it. So that means if you will have, you can have couple of image version for the same image definition. So if you want to go deeper with that, feel free and just take a look at the shared image gallery, and I bet you will find lots of pretty interesting information regarding this feature. So now we will wait for this status to be finalized, but we can use the shortcut to deploy the session host with our using our image. So let's go to the Windows Virtual Desktop, then go to the host pool, choose our host pool, the new one that we have created with 2 under the name, and go to the session hosts. Now we will deploy the first session host for our environment. Of course, first screen, the basic screen, is fulfilled already because it will follow the configuration that we choose. So basically, it will be pooled host type. We can have 2 types of host pools types. One is pooled. That means you can have multiple users accessing the same host, or you can have personal. So that means you will have the kind of VIP host pool, right? Only for those session hosts will be only for the dedicated users. There are some reasons why you can do this. For example, like for the VIP users, this is the one thing. For example, if you have like a CAD application called CAD applications, or I don't know, specific graphic applications, you don't want to share the resources with others. Let's do the personal dedicated host pools. So this is about the host pools. Then we go to the virtual machines. Here we can choose the size. So answering the question for Mr. K. Van Orden, you can choose whatever you want. You can do really small or you can go really high. It's up to you. In my case, I will just use the D2S version 3. And yeah, we need to change the location to North Europe because we want to do it in within the North Europe, like everything. Number of VMs, I will do 1 because this is only for the test purpose, workshop purpose, right? So what will be the exact name for that? Let's do it CH WVD. And I can see the question. Yes, I can do this. Answering Kathy, I can create the templates, but not today. Most probably till the end of the week, I will update the GitHub repo with those templates. After this workshop, at the end, I will give you the link to my blog where I have the series regarding this WVD deployment. So yeah, you will be able to also go through it and check how to deploy that. If you want, you can also contact me over the email or LinkedIn or whatever you want. I will be more than happy to help you. Let's go back, and I hope it's answering your question. Let's go back to the deployment because it will take some time as well. Here you can choose the gallery or blob. If we'll do it in a really cheap way, we can store VHD over the storage account, and then we can use blob, but we want to do it in a modern way, gallery style. So let's don't click here, because here you will be able to see only the predefined Microsoft images, but we want to click browse, and here my items. As you can see, I have 2 images, right? Because I did that before as a dry run, but this is our new, and here we should have also 2 shared image galleries. If I will click here, I will choose on actually this particular image from this particular from this particular shared image gallery. So this is the way how to do that, but we are still deploying the resource. Let me just check. So maybe we can use the standard image for that purpose. Yeah, it's still creating, so I will use image and I will use this image. Yes, we can. Yeah, yes, we can. Sorry, I was fast. Piotr Wiśniewski, yes, we can change the VM size after adding them to the host pool. How? There's just a simple VMs, right? So I will show you how to do it right after the deployment. So if we'll scroll down, we can choose the standard type SSD or premium or standard HDD. In my case, we'll leave the standard SSD. Going back forward to the network stuff, I have the dedicated network for that purpose. I have dedicated subnet for that purpose, no public IP address. And that's interesting because we will access those resources from the internet, but they will not have public IP address. How it will happen? Because we will use the Microsoft managed part of the tenant, which is the broker, connection broker, I mean the gateway and web server. So that means we'll access those resources, but they will transfer us to our resources using the private IP. Nothing's to be changed regarding the NSG. I will not put the OU for this deployment. And yeah, let's provide here the administrator account because we need to join to the domain somehow, right? With domop, this is my domain operator account, which is the domain admin. Yeah. And then let's go to tags. As always, you can put the tags whatever you want. Scroll down, validation passed, boom, we can create that. When it will be deploying, I will switch to my previous one, resource group that already contains the session host. This is my session host for that. So if I will click on it, you can see that this is the standard virtual machine. So if you want to change the size, you need to just go to the settings section, size option, and then you can just click whatever you want, size, and click resize. It will reboot the VM, but it will start with the new size. So this is how you can Piotr, this is how you can change the size of the session host if you want, right? So it's simple as it is for the standard VMs, because in fact at the end this is the standard VM but connected to our host pool. So hopefully it's answering your question. And let's see on the deployment, because from time to time I had a wrong habit to make a typo during the password fulfillment. So yeah, let's wait and see if I made a typo or no. And yeah, that's why I have made a configuration before, like a dry run, because it will take some time. And I know that I'm having the working one environment. So let's assume we have deployed our session host. We can log in there, of course, using this old predefined environment. I didn't configure the clipboard, so I will do that right about now. So if I will go to the host pool, the old one, RDP properties, device redirection, and yeah, it's not available. If you will change the setting, you will, at the end, you will have this RDP property configured here, right? So these are the same RDP properties like you can have within your standard on-premise Word. So yeah, so let's go back and see if this session host is working. Yeah, it's working. So maybe let's try to open one more time. As I said, I'm kind of lazy and it's faster for me to type WVD portal URL, go to the first link and then open that link to access the environment. Let's log in. Yeah, already provided password. That's nice. And as you can see now, I have changed the configuration, so my clipboard is not working. And yeah, let's log in there. One information for you guys. Third, we need to log in twice. First is log into this whole remote desktop web client. It doesn't matter if you are doing it from the web or from the standard remote desktop client, right? But the second thing is that you need to authenticate to the VM because VM is joined the domain, right? We did that. So if you have, for example, Azure AD DS, Azure Active Directory Domain Services deployed, and it's synchronized with your Azure AD, you can use the same domain because it will automatically log in you there. But in my example, I'm using the same name, but my Azure AD tenant is called lab.azureblog.pl, but my domain also it's the same, but the passwords are different. So that's why I'm putting the different password here. But if you followed the manual that was sent to you as a link before this workshop, I mean, it was added to the information page. Yeah, I forgot to click. You should have option that you will be able to use the same domain, right? So that means you can use the same account, which was from the Azure AD. So let's not take long this longer, and yeah, let's log in there. Boom, we are there. And we can see Acrobat Reader is here. We can see what's more. We can see maybe not the computer management, but we can see the system settings, because I want to show you the device name is test-0, because every time if you will create the how to zoom in somehow, if you will provide the name, please don't add any dashes at the end. It just should be like a test. So when I was deploying this session host, as a name I have provided test and -0. So numbering is covered by Microsoft. I mean, the Azure portal is doing it automatically. So if you can see, as you can see, we have the Windows 10 Enterprise for virtual desktops. We have the access to our environment, so everything works. Let's take a look from the other side, which will be from the session host. If we will go here, we will see that we have the active user. But what will happen if this active user will just do that? He will be disconnected. And if we will have, for example, configured the settings for the for our environment that 10 users can work on this session host in the same time, and 10 of them will do the same thing like I did, our session host will be locked somehow, because there will be a sessions, active sessions, but disconnected, and they will be waiting for those users to log in then one more time. As I said, it's good practice to use the FS logics for that profile synchronization to the external share. So then you can just do that. Log off all users, and then this session will be closed. This user will be logged off, and that means we will not have any problems with that. Of course, after that, you can click drain mode. That means nobody will be able to access this server. Does not allow new connection, as you can see. And then you can patch it, right? So remember how to do it. Before doing the drain mode, log in there, then click the drain mode, and then you can play with the specific session host. So yeah, this was the example that I did before our workshop. So let's move to here and to see that we can have our fresh session host, right? So we can see that it was deployed properly. Let's see what kind of our resources are deployed with our session host, because this is the interesting thing as well. Standard things like VM, NIC, disk, plus availability set, because this should be high available. So we have those 4 things. That means if you want to deploy 10 session hosts, you will have 31 resources deployed. One will be the availability set, and the other things will be like here, but multiple by 10 for each of the VM, NIC, and disk. This is the good example, because in the future you might decide to use the VMSS, and I will describe it on my article on my blog soon, I guess in next 2 weeks, how to use VMSS for the session host. So you can do it during the Christmas break, for example, or whenever you want. So yeah, let's maybe log into our new environment as a proof that we did that. And then we can move to the another part of our workshop, which will be maintenance and monitoring. And actually, this will be pretty quick for us. This one, yeah, you can see that the printer is working redirection. Of course, we can also decide to disable that. You all know that. And yeah, let's open the port. So here, one more time, demo. Yeah, and I made something wrong. Yeah, that's funny. Let me check if it's not under the drain mode, maybe. Drain mode off. But yeah, I have discovered one thing, that sometimes after the deployment, you need to reboot that VM. So let's wait for that to be rebooted. Let's see if it was rebooted or no. If not, we'll go forward. It's probably rebooting in this moment. Oof, yeah. It was kind of stress for me if it will work or no, but as you can see, if it's well designed, it will work always. So now we will just log in. I will show you that we have successfully logged into the to this fresh session host, and then we'll go back to the presentation. And of course, there's one more thing, because I supposed to add that at the beginning, because Windows Virtual Desktop is a part of Microsoft ARM resources. You can use MFA in order to access that. If you are using the conditional access, you can choose from the applications Windows Virtual Desktop, and then it will force, for example, MFA or whatever you will configure within this conditional access. It will force those settings or set up the settings that you would like to have. But the good thing is that I want to show you is that it will allow you to target conditional access only, for example, for the Windows Virtual Desktop. So that's nice. And the other thing is, if you will have any request to limit the internet access from those session hosts, you can decide to deploy Azure Firewall in front of it, and then it will just limit the traffic, right? So there are lots of cases that you can use. For example, in May, I was using the Windows Virtual Desktop as a cloud privilege access workstations during one of the compromise recovery that I was doing in the US remotely, actually, one of the first remote compromise recovery that we did. So yeah, you can have lots of possible use cases to use Windows Virtual Desktop in your environment. Another is, for example, to deploy that because your on-premise data center has reached the capacity, right? You cannot add more racks, more servers, more everything, because of the money, because of the space and other plans. So this is why this Windows Virtual Desktop is so nice. Let's go back to the presentation because we have about half an hour to finish. So session host maintenance, we all already described that. We can put the drain mode. You can see that disconnected information is here. So we can put it into the drain mode, and then we can, these are those states. We can put the drain mode, log off, do the things that we need. So that's one thing. Of course, you can do this. Like I said, if you are using FSLogix, and this is the free solution, so you don't need to pay for that. Of course, somehow you will, because you will need to deploy Azure files or NetApp files and join it to the domain, but it's doable, right? And let's go to the another part, which is the environment monitoring, right? So basically, in order to monitor anything within our subscription, we need Log Analytics workspace, right? So it will be the first thing. Then we need to create a workbook with predefined JSON file. I will show you the link to the JSON file when we'll move to this exercise. Then we need to link the enable monitor from your environment. And actually, I just realized that it should be in different order, because first of all, we need to enable the Azure monitor on your session host. Then link those informations to the workspace, and then put the JSON file in order to create a workbook. And then at the end, you can create the dashboard, the fancy dashboard, based on the informations that are covered by the Log Analytics workspace workbook for the Windows Virtual Desktop. The good thing is that somebody have created this JSON file, and it's showing lots of information. Believe me, you will see that in a minute. So this is all about this slide. We will start demo. So I will create log analytics called LA-WVD-NEU under my management group, resource group. Then I will configure some performance counters. We need to configure 40 of them. So there is a limitation that we can do it like 20 in a row. So after 20, we will need to save and then do the one more time, one round. And then we can enable monitor on the session host, create the workbook, and see our beautiful workspace, right? So what I will do now is we'll give you the link over the chat to this nice workbook, but sorry, I need to, yeah, this will be better. And yeah, I will close that. We don't need, for now, we don't need that. So maybe before going deeper, do we have any questions for now? I think there are no. So yeah, let's start the thing regarding the log analytics creation. So I will go to the management resource group. We have dedicated management 2 resource group, and we'll click add, then type log analytics workspace. Click create. We need to choose the resource group. We need to choose the name, LA-WVD new 2. And of course, it will be under the North Europe, which is somewhere here. Go to the pricing, pay as you go, only one available for me. Same old story like every time, tax. We can click create. So now, while we are creating, we can proceed with the next step. We can go to the, it will take a while to deploy. So now I will go to our session host, host pool. So let's take this particular host pool. And from this left side menu, we need to scroll down to enable diagnostics. Here, yeah, I need to minimize that. We need to click add diagnostics and we need to configure it. So let's put some nice name. It could be WVD host pool diag. And we need to choose checkpoint error management, connection and host registration, and we want to send it to the log analytics. It was chosen automatically because we have only one log analytics. So from now, this will transfer those informations to our log analytics. And we need to do the same for application groups. So let's do the same. Diagnostic settings, small, here, bam, bam, bam. WVD, app, group, diag, send to the log analytic workspace, save. Go back, choose workspace, and the same story here. So it will be WVD. And we want to have everything there. Done. So now another thing is to enable monitor. Let's put it here. And when we will choose the monitor from the left side menu, under the Insights section, we have Virtual Machines option. And we can see that there is a not monitored status. So we need to choose the proper one. No, we don't want this one. We don't want this one. Yeah, we are working on that. So click Enable and Enable. And then we need to choose the workspace, and be careful because automatically it will create some really ugly name for the new workspace. We want to have the one which was created previously. So click Enable, and it's deploying. So some of the things are done, halfway done, I think. So let's go to the Management 2 resource group, make it smaller, and let's choose our log analytics. Then we need to go under the settings section, we need to go to the advanced settings. And then we need to choose data, Windows performance counters. And yeah, here will be some copy paste play. So yeah, we need to add some of them. Yes, I know it's kind of boring, but I'm doing it as fast as I could. And we need to do it for 40 counters. To be honest, I'm not the author of this solution. I mean, not those counters, I didn't choose them. This is also the thing that was pretty well described within the techcommunity.microsoft.com. And it's pretty nice solution. So I just decided to show you guys that you don't need to invent the wheel from the scratch. Sometimes you can use the solutions which are already done and ready to go, right? We have 20, so save. And we can add another 20. And I promise I'm almost at the end with those perform counters. And the last one. Okay, we have 40 of them. Now we need to do the interval. Every one should be 60 seconds. So yeah, please don't kill me because of that. Finally, yeah. Yeah, why it doesn't surprise me. We cannot do 40 of them at once, so yeah. I was so fast. So sorry guys, we cannot do the change for 40 of resources at once. That's why I need to do this. Save. And I need to do this one more time. Sorry guys for that. Quick copy paste. And I can tell you that you need to do it only once. You don't need to do it for every host pool or something like that. So if we will manage to finish that now, we will forget that for a long time. Okay, now do the change with 60 seconds. Fingers crossed if it will save. Oof, yeah, that's good. So now we can go back to the log analytics and then go to the workbooks, which is under the general section on the left side. Then we need to click new. And we need to just go here to advanced editor. Control A, remove everything, and we need to paste the JSON file. So yeah, row. Sorry. Yeah, the UI indeed needs to be improved. So as you can see, now we have some nice things, but before we will open the champagne, we need to save it. Clicking that thing. So let's call it really my reports. It could be under the shared reports. If we have the team that is working with us within that, be kind and share it with our colleagues. So let's create that. And yes, we have it. So now we need to configure that. We need to choose log analytics. We need to choose the resource group, and we want to choose that resource group, host pool. And yeah, we need to wait for that. Yeah. Let's save that. So basically, this workbook will always show us the resources from our resource group called WVD new2. Then it will be targeted to this particular host pool and host. We can choose all, and all is actually recommended because it will choose everything, right? So if you will have more, you can also choose more than one. So let's save it and done. So now, yeah, let's maybe do that way. I will zoom out a little bit just to show you what we can see here. We can see that we have two workspaces, two host pools, some summary of our environment. And if we will feed some data there, you will see that there will be hosts with connected sessions, with disconnected sessions, with top 5 hosts, some session history like the performance. You can also check the errors, but yeah, we need to have some information from this environment. So basically, you can also check for the user, but now it's really clean log analytics, so it was not deployed before. But what I want to show you is that you will be able to see lots of very useful information for you because of that. And then some of them could be pinned to the dashboard. As you can see, you can use the pin icon and then create a shared dashboard for you and your colleagues. And based on that, you can have the full monitoring for your environment. So from that point of view, it's done. And the another thing is, sorry, not this one, host pool. And yeah, we have it. Okie dokie. There is another thing how you can monitor. You can go to the insights and it will show you this particular workbook, right? So this is how we can monitor our environment. And yeah, let's go back to the presentation because I want to thank you all. That was all that I had in my plan for today. It was a pleasure to show you and to walk you through this Windows Virtual Desktop deployment. And if you want, please use the link from the left side to go to my blog because I'm putting there some field notes. We can call it field notes regarding services like WVD, Azure ADDS, security, and other things. So if you would like to take a look, please go there. On the right side, you have link to my GitHub repo, and that will show you lots of scripts for other things like Azure Windows Virtual Desktop deployment, but a little bit more things like VMSS, like FSLogic configuration, and so on. So please take a look at that. And I just want to share with you one more thing. Bear with me only for a minute more. I will type over the chat the link to this series of Windows Virtual Desktop as I promised. So this will help you to build the WVD from scratch with this shared image gallery, even with the FSLogic profiles, with many other things. And soon, like in the next 2 weeks, I will publish the last piece of this series, which will be for the VMSS configuration. So now is the time for the questions. Do you have any questions to me? And yeah, if yes, I will be happy to answer all of those. And yeah, I was really happy to deliver this workshop for you guys. And yeah, actually happy holidays because the Christmas is coming and the New Year's Eve as well.
Yeah, thank you very much, Robert, for this long workshop. It was very great.
I would say interesting, not long.
Nice to hear that. Nice to hear that it's not like bored and long workshop.
No. It's a very good workshop because you show us a very good many places in Azure of some setup, not directly of services in Azure, but something more, because we had a configuration from code, the configuration in portal, configuration of Windows in Azure. So you provided many hints of this configuration. So it was very amazing for me.
Nice to hear that you like that. If you would like, I'm more than happy to have like a second series of that workshop. I mean, to work on the FSLogics maybe and something more, but we'll see in the future, right?
Yeah,
right. We booked a time slot for you.
No problem. No problem. Thanks. So as I said, thank you guys, and it was a pleasure to deliver that workshop.
Robert, just before disconnecting, there's like one question on the chat from Piotr. Thank you on the YouTube channel. So
how many workspaces to the same? How many hosts do the same workspace? To be honest, I forgot to check that. So I forgot to check that. I will check it. Piotr, please ping me on LinkedIn. I will answer your question. Okay. Let me just give you my LinkedIn profile to make sure you will be able to reach me. Yeah,
you sent also a link to your blog, so I think it's also the good link to find you. So Piotr was very active on this work.
Yeah, exactly. Piotr was very active. I need to think maybe about some gift for him. So I will think about that. We'll be in touch with Piotr for sure.
Great. Okay, so if we don't have any question more, I think we can finish our workshop. It's time to go sleep or take a beer.
Exactly.
So, thank you very much, everybody, and see you on the next another our workshop or meetups. So
Speak to you soon, guys.
One more time.
Thank you guys for inviting me.
Yeah, thank you.
Have a nice end of the day. Bye.
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 Okay, I have to stop the stream.
Stop the streaming.